Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Guresh Kumar from ILVS. Basically, I am a biostatistician. Today, I am going to discuss about the modules named Introduction to Research Methodology and its essential components from paper Molecular Therapeutics. After studying this module, you will be in a position to understand what is research methodology, process of research, the various components involved into it, protocols and its component, how to prepare the protocol also. First of all, I will start with the research, definition of research. Basically, it is a search for the truth in the space. Literally, search means truth by searching and researching. That means we have to search the truth, again search and go on searching till our answer, till we are not in a position to answer our question. Philosophically, there are many ways to get the truth. Similarly, many designs to answer the research questions, which we will see in the coming slides. What is research? Research is what we do when we have a question or a problem we want to resolve scientifically. We may already think that we know the answer of the question, but it is not proven yet. We may think that the answer is obvious, maybe trivial, or maybe in common sense it is true, but it is not confirmed by anything. But until we have subjected our problem to the rigorous scientific scrutiny, our knowledge remains little more than guesswork only, or at the best it is intuition only. Why do we do research? It is a human nature or lust to acquire more and more knowledge, putting the ideas or observation logically into practice, or we are keen to explore more and more, going deep and deep into the matter in order to answer the question why, when and how this has happened. This is research. Classical scientific method of research in olden days, the observation of some phenomena were treated as research. It may be a systematic one, occasionally it has come, or accidental. In accidental, you may talk about this gravitational force or Archimedes principle. It was developed accidentally only. Some idea of the explanation, or we may call it as a hypothesis, it may have come from induction, conjecture, intuition, or simply by the guesswork, usually informed by the related work only. Then after this, the scientific research has to be tested, and we say testing of hypothesis, test and revision cycle. I will discuss planning of research. There are 5 to 6 steps for conducting a research. Number 1, first of all, you should be amply clear what is the statement of your problem. You should be in a position to identify the problem which is relevant. And after second is literature review related to the problem. The choice of the research methods which are available, you have to see. Design of study which you are going to adopt, then data collection, how you will collect, what type of data you will be collecting, is it relevant or not, something like that. Then the data which you will collect will be analyzed, and finally after analysis you the write up, or you will send it for the publication which will be made to the public. This is the planning or the steps involved in planning of the research. The next is planning of the next is what is the sequence. Similarly, first of all, you have to choose the research question. Research question is basically main important around which the whole research revolves around. That first of all, after selecting your research problem, you have to develop the protocol. Protocol is nothing but a blueprint of this study which you are going to conduct, and it contains all your objectives, specific aims, how you will conduct it. All it contains. Research protocol is a basically a tool which is a architect for it. Then after developing the research protocol, pre-testing and revising the protocol is a must, because sometimes we may include some of the questions which are not relevant pertaining to the student, and the subjects we are not in a position to answer, they are useless, then we have to remove. That means we have to revise till the final protocol is not achieved. Then carry out the research by adopting suitable methods, and after carry out the research, the data which we collect is to be analyzed, finally disseminating the conclusion and made it to the public. This is the sequence of the research. Sequence and cycle of research. Before proceeding to this slide, I want to talk that there are two types of data are collected. First is primary data, another is secondary data. Primary data is that data which is collected by an individual during his or her study. Secondary data we obtain from the records. Records may be old registers or in the hospital or anywhere in the offices like RGI, etc., and so on and so forth. So these are the two types. The sequence depends upon these two. In case of primary data, we have to first of all choose the research question. After choosing appropriate research question, we have to develop a protocol. Protocol will be explained in the next slide. What do you mean by protocol? Then this protocol is tested or pre-tested, and if it is some mistake is there, needs revision, then revise the protocol. Then carry on the study. After carrying on study, the results will be analyzed and drawn the conclusion. This is the for primary data. If we have got secondary data, of course you have to choose a research question, develop the protocol, then there is no testing and pre-testing of the protocol. If it is required, then we can do. Otherwise, we will skip to analyze the data and draw the conclusion. This is the sequence and the cycle of research. Questions to be answered before formulating any research question. That is number one. Do I know the field and its literature well? This is very important. The person who is doing or conducting some research should have a intense knowledge of the field, and the various updates till date should be known to that person. What are the important research questions in this field? What area need further exploration? This exploration can be found if there is gap between the research knowledge and the current knowledge. If there is a gap, could my study fill a gap? This leads to the greater understanding by filling this gap. Has a great deal of research already been conducted in this topic? This is another question one should answer or should be ready to answer this. Has this study been done before? This is very important. In research, there should be no duplication. If it is duplicated, then nothing will be gained. So there is no use of this research. If so, there is any room, if it is duplicated, further there is any room for improvement or not. If there is a room for improvement, we can go for this research study, other we should skip this study. Is the time right for the question to be answered? Is it a hot topic or burning these days, or it has become obsolete? One should remember all these things. Is there any funding resources available, or they may fund this research or not? This is another area which one should remember, because research needs a lot of money also. If you are proposing a service program, is the target community is interested to cooperate with you people or not? Otherwise it will be very difficult to conduct the study. Most importantly, will my study have a significant impact and something new will come out? This question I should be ready to answer before starting any research question. Then further, for this purpose, we should have an intense literature review in this. The literature review provides a scientific context for the research and to validate it against the three criteria for a good research. Avoid duplication of efforts. If question has been addressed in numerous ways and the answer is always similar, then it might not be worth pursuing further, or you might want to try to examine the question in a new way, the new setting or new population, then it can be converted, it can be taken. Identify the potential problems in the conducting the research. This is another area which one should keep in mind. For a good research question, one should have the clarity of these things: what he wants to do, what parameter he needs to measure, which will lead to the answer of the question, what are my comparison groups, direction and magnitude of the difference and its estimates, what is my population and the sample size which I will be going to select, and the time frame should be known, and there should be a clarity on this. Clear information should be available and they should stick to that. Designing this study, there are 5 important questions which should be addressed before going into choosing a study. How will the study will be conducted? Choose a research strategy and the specific design with the chosen strategy. What will be studied? That is, but choice of the operation definition for a hypothetical construction you are studying. Where will this study be conducted? This is very important, either in the lab or in the field setting. Location must be known and it should be available, and you should be available for going into that location and the study will be conducted. Who will be studied? What is my target population? And what is the sampling technique to select the sample size should be well addressed and known to the researcher. When will be the study conducted? This is the time factor. Either I will be going to conduct cross-sectional study, longitudinal study, or my case control study. This should be, all these questions should be known to the researcher before proceeding. The research question which we make, that research question is nothing but objectives, and we want to answer those research should be having the following characteristic that can be characterized as finer. First word of the finer is F, that stands for feasibility of the research question. What is the appropriate subject you are going to take, what is your technical expertise in this, how much time you will be taking, and what amount of money involved into it. And after collecting all this, feasibility also includes the further future scope of the study is main part of the feasibility. Second one is I, finer. The second alphabet is I. I indicate the interesting to the investigator. It should be very much interesting to the investigator. N stands for novel. The research question which you accept should be novel. It should confirm the previous finding or it can refute the previous findings. And novelty means it gives you some extra finding which you get from the research. This is called novelty of the research question. Then ethically, it should be in a position to resolve all the ethical issues, like it should resolve all the ethical issues like what is the benefit of this, how much it will be beneficial to the subject, whether some extra burden is there on the patient or subject under study. So all these ethical issues should be involved. The final R is meant for relevant. The study which you are going to conduct should have scientific knowledge. It should be of clinical use or basic use. That means should be use in the for future, the public health or in the health policies making. Then future research direction, it should be in a position to give you the future research directions. This is the characteristic of final characteristic of the final finer research questions. Then next, protocol. To have a research question, first of all, we have the summary or architect of the research question, how I am going to proceed, what I will do in conducting this research, what will be my design, and etc. and so forth. That manuscript or document is called your protocol. To meet with all the queries addressed previously, we prepare a document which is called a protocol. This is a tool which rarely architect this study in the protocol, or you can say it is the blueprint of the study. This is comprehensive yet concise statement regarding the proposed research. Main component of the research protocol. First of all, researcher should have enough knowledge or information regarding the background of the research field, lacunas and the gap in the knowledge, why it is important to fill this gap. This should be amply known to the researcher. This is also known as the rationale of the study. Then each study should have objective, a clear worded short statement of what is supposed to achieve by this research. So this is called objective. There are basically two types of objectives are there. First is primary objective, on the basis of which the sample size and the main study involves is called your primary objective. There is another which you are interested to have knowledge about. These are called secondary objectives. Hypothesis is the third this thing which you should have. It is a particular statement or definite statement about the objectives which is under test or study. Then further, to achieve all this, we should have enough knowledge. That means we should review the literature. Critical evaluation of the existing related knowledge should be there. Methodology. In this section, we should have all the inclusion and exclusion criteria of the subject, identification of the outcome and the various study design you are going to, or the study design which you are going to achieve, have number of subjects, that means sample size in the various group or in the single group as need, the method of sample selection, whether it is a randomly allocated to or not. Further, this study needs matching, confounding factor and other controls are taken care of in this methodology. It includes all the things which you will be selecting in your project or in your study. And the next will be ethics. Nowadays, ethical needs to be addressed. List of ethical problems, how you should enumerate and how these are proposed to be resolved should be mentioned in the protocol. Last, the statistical evaluation. what are the various methods you will be going to apply in order to answer your research question, and further needs what more analysis we can do if it is to meet with the secondary objectives also. Then last is your limitation. The conditions or group to which the result will not apply should be addressed. These are the basically main brief component of the research protocols in broader sense. There is a in detail sequence of research protocol for the grant purpose, or when you want to submit in DST, ICMR or somewhere for having grants, then you should have first you should have protocol summary. Protocol summary is also named as abstract of the this thing. So this you should address. Then second is introduction. Introduction have these particular parts: background and study questions, the gaps, rationals, and the previous knowledge on the particular subject is addressed in this section, introduction section. Then to fill these gaps, we further develop objectives, and these objectives are proposed in this section. Then material method, where the design of the study population, sampling error, sample size, how many subjects you are going to select, definition, questionnaire tool, format. Then further data collection methods, time, place, inclusion and exclusion criteria, all are mentioned under this section. Then data management and statistical analysis is also a part of material method or study design. Then management is there, ethical issue consideration. The studies to be conducted should have all the ethical issues resolved, or there is a way to resolve. One should mention in this. Then of course last, the statistical analysis gives the results and the expected outcome has been achieved, or what is the various new things which has arisen can be put under this head. Strength and the limitation is the next. You should tell that this is the limitation of the study, and further study is needed to fill this limitation. Then of course, because this is a research proposal, so you should have a budget summary, staffing, recruitment, and other things should be included. And lastly, reference or bibliography has to be attached. Parts of the research question: first of all, there is a broader, then narrow down. Like this we can proceed narrowing research. Example, title is the broader, aims is the further narrow down, then objectives are the focused research questions which are. Example, women health is a broader thing, women and cancer is the narrow down. That means from the health of the woman we have specified ourselves up to the cancer of women only. Then only those women cancer cases who smoke and has breast cancer. Further we have narrowed down our area. Then last question will be, the research question will be, is there any association between cigarette smoking and the breast cancer among the women? Then further again, second example, computer games is a very big, so many games are there in computer, and we are restricting ourselves to the violence games. This is further we have narrowed down. Then all those games who are violence game and among the children only. Then how does violence in the computer game affect the children is my last research question, that is called your objective. One should explain how, what, where, who, and when should be answered by these research problem. While conducting any research, say medical research, we have got 4 types of research. First level of research is called master thesis. Second research is called PhD thesis, just student after doing post graduation. they adopt for PhD course. Then third one is the institutional studies, where particular institution is involved, and this is the third level. Fourth level is called multicentric study. First level such is the master thesis. It is a very small scale investigation, because student is involved who is pursuing his or her master's degree. Mostly hypothesis generation, this is meant for hypothesis generation, training to the student so that he should tune to the research for the process, more important. Then seldom settle a dispute or any issue. That means this first level thesis is meant for the student, postgraduate student, and basically aiming to give training to the student. Duration is 1 year, and it is part of fulfillment of their course. If there is nothing is generated, nothing is dispute, now it does not settle down the dispute. Okay, next. Then guide, main thing is guide is only supervisor whose intellectual resources are extensively utilized. Based on the institution resources, no external funding is available to these people, and moreover no public defense of the finding. Whatsoever they found, it is fine. There is no public defense in this case. The volume of this thesis or research is around 100 pages only. Second level is one step more than that PG student or master degree students. This is called PhD thesis. Detailed disclosure on the particular topic that provides new results or perspectives, publishable, must provide critical thinking of the candidate on the topic. Result have a potential for implementation in the healthcare. The duration of this type of thesis generally varies from 3 years to 5 years, and itself is sufficient for award of degree. Guide is called only advisor. There is no direct role of the guide. And the work is mostly based on the candidate's own intellectual, and the main contribution is from the candidate itself. Based on the institutional resources, part of the large scale research funded by some funding agency, or they apply for some fellowship, required to be publicly defended. This is the most important. That means it is open to all the public, and so that questions raised can be answered by the student. A volume of this type of research is generally not more than 200 pages. Third level research is one step further than PhD level. This is called institutional study, generally conducted in one or more location, large scale investigation that culminate into a full-fledged project and mostly published in reputed journals, expected to provide path-breaking results that can be immediately implemented in healthcare, mostly based on marked funded by external agencies also, and sometimes institutional agencies. Fourth level is called multicentric. This is most important, conducted in several locations with the same objective and the same protocol. It's a large scale investigations. Report is invaluable for publication, attract attention because of the size, but no evidence that more often is provide path breaking result as compared to the institutional level of research, invariably based on specially earmarked funds. That means funds are available. This is what we have got for. So the sequence of hierarchy is master master to PhD, PhD to institutional, then multi-center study. This is the importance of this. Designing and implementation of research. In designing, we prepare such questions. This is diagrammatic explanation of what we have read previously. Again, this is the explanation of these. We should have a design and making this finalization of the question, go to the study design and implement by conducting the actual. But here, from between the research question, this is the called design period, then implementation, then inference, data collection tools. Basically, data can be collected and or generated from three main sources. First is by experiment. In pure sciences like physics, chemistry, biology, or other things, we have to conduct the experiment. It may be on the humans or the animals or in anywhere. We do the experiment and collect the data. Like this, we can have that data from the experiment. In other this thing, records and register are another source of getting data. Generally, records are maintained in hospital. Large registries, large register or case sheets are available. Then from there we can collect the data. Nowadays, a computerization is a part of register. It is some sort of register also. From there, HIMS system are there. From we can get the data from these sources also. Surveys. This is the important part of the data collection. Here, question is made which contains many relevant questions which pertains to the aims and objective of the study. It is also called a tool for data collection, is prepared, tested for validity and feasibility by pre-testing it. The medical worker or any other worker goes to host or patient, collect the relevant information by asking the question from the questionnaire, and thus data is collected which is available for further research. The tools for data collection. We have questionnaire, self-administered questionnaire, where questionnaire is made and it is given to the subject, which he will fill the relevant information and give it back to the investigator. It contains a series of structural and phrased questions. This kind of useful when respondent is educated, because then it could be it will be a possible to have the information. This type of thing is very useful for characterization of large population, and more sample is feasible by stating this type of questionnaire. This is the sample of the questionnaire which made. It has got all the answers coded here. So like this, we should make a questionnaire which justifies your objectives in the study. There are two types of the questions in the questionnaire. One is open-ended question, another is closed-ended. Closed-ended possible, you give options to the option which are limited one. So the surveyor or the subject choose only one of these options, and like this we have got a limited number of options available, and easily one can have the things available with us. Whereas in the open-ended, it is at the will of the responder. He can write anything. It will be a problem to the analyzer because the options are more and you may or may not get the relevant information. So it is always advisable to have not open-ended, but the questionnaire should be made closed-ended. Personal interview. This interview is an attractive method of collecting survey. Interviewers ask questions orally and record respondent answers. This type of survey generally decreases the number of do not know or no answer response compared to the self-administered survey. Interviewers also provide a guard against confusing item. If something is not understood by or misunderstood by the responder, the interviewer can clarify there and then, thus obtaining the relevant and good quality of answers from the responders. Example, the medical history of the patient, which is an integral part of medical process research, is always taken when the patient approaches and a interviewer is there to collect the information. Interview establish a rapport so that effectively communicate with the interviewer and with the responder and exact, and he tries to extract the relevant information. Issues in development of questions, there should be an consent should be available, how much this will deviate from the current normal acceptable time or the clinical practice, what is the additional burden imposed on the patient, what risks are posed to the patient if we do this research, what benefit might occur to the patient with this research, what are the potential benefit to the society by conducting this. These issues should be addressed while development of the questionnaire. All the objectives of the study should be met. A review of the other study could be helpful. There should be an appropriate title, flow of question, and consent of the community leader should be given. The questionnaire should not be lengthy, otherwise responder become careless and he may tries to give useless or wrong information. Form should be divided into sections, that is called structural method. It should help the interviewer to remain focused on the specific issues and hence the specific objectives. It should be self-explanatory. Informed consent of the individual, confidentiality and flow of chart items should be given. Informed, all these objectives should be informed to the respondent. Risk and benefit should be given to the respondent, and from time to time this performer person should be trained or informed about the latest development. Questionnaire should not be lengthy. It should be self-explanatory. Testing and pre-testing should be done. Then the most important in this study, the ethical issue. Responders should be informed about this ethical issue, and also these ethical issue in this study should be approved. There should be a committee who approves all this, whether the participant in the study gave the informed consent, judge whether the overall design and conduct of PR, the work is morally justifiable, it should not deviate from the current normal acceptable limits, what is the additional burden imposed on the patient. All these should be addressed as explained earlier. So, students, let us summarize what we have learnt in this module. First of all, we have discussed about what is research methodology, what are its various components, the process of research, component of research, protocol and its component. Protocol means starting from developing the process of protocol, then research question, then material methods, something we have developed like this. Ethical issues should be taken care of, and in the performer and the study. So that means all the ethical issues should be, this is what we have learnt in this module.